everyone, welcome back. We're here for part 2 with lovely Katie. So we're going to be talking about DIY, is it worth it? Alright, so DIY, what should we really be prepared for? Obviously there's a lot of tips that we should be considering, so would you like to talk us through some?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one thing that most of our DIY couples are shocked by at the end of kind of on the other side is how long it takes. So sometimes for especially busy where you're working full-time, both of you, just really underestimating how long it takes to think about all of the little bits and pieces that you want to buy yourself or what you can make yourself and how you want it all to come together. And there's so much choice out there at the moment, it can be pretty overwhelming. So I think one thing is definitely keep in mind time. And if time is something that you guys don't have much of, look at outsourcing it, because it's definitely a full-time job planning a wedding, trust me. So yeah, definitely keep time in mind.
But even storing those items, so pre-storing them, obviously you're purchasing them months in advance, and obviously making sure that you can get enough of a product too. So
yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of our couples tend to joke about how they have a whole spare room in their house fully dedicated to wedding stuff, and I find that a lot of them say we offer styling on the day, for example. So if a bride or groom purchases all of the items that they want us to set up for them, we'll come into the venue on the day and we'll set that up. That's just one of our services. And sometimes what happens is they take everything to the venue for us to set up, and then even the bride's like, oh, as I was unpacking this, there's some stuff I kind of forgot about that just doesn't work anymore. So that we end up we don't use a lot of it really, because it's just so different from kind of the initial excitement of the buying to the kind of end vision of what they need and then how we set it all up. So some things go to waste, really. Yeah.
And then obviously when you're purchasing things, make sure that you are removing any labels or little stickers that are sitting on them. The venues and our stylists don't have time to be messing around. A lot of the stickers do leave marks, so it takes a lot of time with like eucalyptus oil and those sort of things. So nothing looks as tacky as something that has a label that's stuck on it, especially with a price tag on it. So obviously make sure that you are removing those labels before the day, just because the venues won't remove them because they don't have the time to do so.
Yeah, and especially if you're doing like say an LED candle, making sure they've got batteries in them, or like that you've pulled out all the little plasticky things, because if you are getting your friends and family to set up for you on the day, it's those types of little things that's going to make their job a lot easier. So definitely kind of thinking about, is everything set up? We've gone to some doozies where there's like this crazy, I think it's from Aldi or something, and it's this funny looking timber easel that they've bought themselves, and it comes in a million different pieces. And I remember me and my girls were sitting there trying to figure out how to get this thing to stand up, and there were no instructions. So just try to think about on the actual day, how is it all meant to look and feel, and then kind of go through and check it all off.
So even make a list. I would always recommend a list of what's in the box. Even label the box. I know at venue I've worked at previously, we used to label the client's box so that you know that was for that client, because remember you might not be the only wedding that the venue is hosting that weekend. So a lot of venues do get deliveries 3 or 2 days prior to your event day. So it's really important to list that this is your item, even if it's just a label on top of the box to say these are our items. Maybe even a list inside it and where those items are going, even if it's your family members that are setting them up on the day, because that will really assist them to know where things are going.
Absolutely. And another thing to be prepared for is if you're organizing it yourself and you don't have a coordinator booked in, you're going to have to be mindful of all the different suppliers and their delivery and pickup schedules. Say if you're getting furniture hire from one company, they might only have set times left, and then you might have access times from your venue, like you might only be able to do 8 a.m. onwards, but then that hire company wants to do 7 a.m. because they've got other bookings. And getting really organized with all of that. And obviously couples who haven't got married before wouldn't be planning these things before, so it is very kind of a bit daunting. So if you can afford a coordinator, I would definitely go for one, because it will take care of all of that stress for you. But yeah, just if you're going to be doing it yourself, allow plenty of time to organize that. And the more, more in advance that you would prepare with your suppliers when you need things dropped off and delivered and picked up, hopefully they'd be able to work with your times a little bit more.
And it would also assist with your budget too, because obviously after midnight pickups and things like that can be more costly for you. So something to keep in mind, if you can pre-arrange that with your suppliers to be before midnight, definitely affects the budget at the end of the day, because they're one of the additional costs that we have pointed out to you previously, that do add up along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also multiple suppliers, like Katie can do styling through to flowers and bits and pieces. So keeping it with one stylist rather than multiple will also cut your costs down as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We offer them all separately so brides can kind of pick and choose what they like, but then ultimately we can be your one-stop shop, from furniture to coordination to flowers and all of that. And you definitely save hundreds and hundreds of dollars by doing it that way.
So let's talk about DIY tips.
One of my biggest tips and tricks would be having a look at kind of little jobs that you might be able to delegate. So there's going to be so much for you guys to organize. I think it'd be really nice if you've got a mother-in-law or someone like that who's really wanting a job but you're not too sure on what to give them. Maybe you could create like wedding favors that they could make, or help you with your stationery, or even getting your little your name cards in order or something like that will help them feel involved, but still it's not like a crazy major job. And I know, like, say with the flowers, for example, if you are going to do your wedding flowers, it might be the type of thing that you do that the night before you get all your girls together, and you might do like some little mason jar arrangements of baby's breath, or even dried arrangements, or eucalyptus, or something really simple that anyone from any skill set should be able to do. But yeah, making it a bit more fun on the night before, not all doom and gloom. I think it'd be really nice.
And just making sure that you do leave yourself enough time to create that item or whatever you're trying to do. Even centerpieces and that, look at Facebook Marketplace, buy swap sell. There's a lot of wedding buy swap sells on Facebook that you can have a look at.
I know there's an Everything Bridal, and they do a lot in specific areas. Like there's a Brisbane, there's Gold Coast, I'm sure there's Sydney and all sorts of other places, and it's pretty much filled with couples who are getting married and who've also been married. So there's heaps of secondhand items for sale, even wedding dresses, centerpieces, all of that stuff. And then there's just some really great advice. And then you get like the gorgeous posts afterwards. They've had their wedding and they just rave about all of everything that they've done and share photos and stuff. So it's really lovely to be part of a community like that and kind of feel supported from other brides or grooms doing the same thing.
And then always have a couple of extra items tucked away just in case something happens, like an extra couple of bonbonnieres. Don't always stick to your exact guest numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, with going back towards the DIY style venue, just kind of thinking outside the box a little bit there of what are things that you might get at a restaurant style venue that you wouldn't get at a private property. So things like your first aid kits and like the little beautiful gift baskets, or not gift baskets, but baskets that people put into the bathrooms that have like your tissues and some like mints and Panadol and cute Band-Aids and things like that. They always go a long way and they're really thoughtful. Bin bags and kind of the not glamorous items as well, which are very needed at a DIY style venue.
And what about your wishing well and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a cool trick that a lot of our brides do is they make their own. So I know, for example, at IKEA, they sell this gorgeous little white and glass terranium, and then they get customized stickers, which I think you can just get printed online anywhere now. Fill it with some Kmart twinkle lights and you're pretty much good to go, and it looks gorgeous, and then you get to keep it or go onto one of those Facebook sites and sell it afterwards.
And if you do use a bird cage, I do recommend tying a sash or something around it just to keep the cards secure in. I have found that sometimes when you're carrying the item to the car at the end of the event, that sometimes you can drop cards, and obviously if they've got money in them, you just want to make sure they're nice and secure. So we do recommend having something that is going to keep them all in there nice and safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And further to the wishing well, we always make sure that our couples have a designated person at the end of the night that's going to take care of your belongings. So making sure at the end of the night that wishing well that's filled with money is going to get taken to a safe location, and that no one has to worry about anything, just even if it's locked in someone's car overnight or just something. We went to one venue one morning to pick up our wedding furniture that we were doing, and there was a wishing well that we hired to them filled with their cards. None of their family was on site, and we were like, oh my goodness, what do we do? And then we found someone from the venue, and they had to take it reluctantly. They were like, I don't want the money. So we gave it to them because it was our wishing well. But I just felt so bad for that couple, like just in case something ever went wrong or went missing. Absolutely. There's no way to track it. So I think definitely have someone that you trust to take care of your belongings at the end of the night.
And that goes for all your wedding items. So sometimes venues will allow you to obviously pick them up the next day, but sometimes venues are heavily booked, so they don't have a lot of storage. So they do recommend taking everything at the end of the night. So we do recommend to have multiple cars, just because not everything does fit into one car at the end of the night. You know how you don't always pack the way that you delivered it. It doesn't always end up the same way when you collect at the end of the night. So just bear in mind that you might have some additional things. I would suggest handing them out to your guests at the end of the night, or letting them take them home so they can enjoy them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do know that some florists, including ourselves, offer a pack down service. So at the end of the night, for example, if you had beautiful vase arrangements made, but that florist needs to take the vase, they can actually come back as they're packing up the vases and wrap them into individual bunches for your guests to take home as well, which is a really beautiful kind of gesture to give to your family and friends.
Yeah, and if your supplier isn't obviously coming back, then you can always put together some lovely paper and some ribbon for your guests to take that home. So then that way they don't cover themselves full of water at the end of the night. At least they can wrap it up and take it home as a nice, beautiful gift. So that's us today on DIY weddings. So do you think it's worth it?
I do. I think choose what is going to be something easy for you guys to do, and that is going to make it a beautiful personal touch. So choosing like a little centerpiece or customized wedding favors or something small, just nothing too big that's going to have a negative effect on the overall experience for your guests. But yeah, I think it's cute to add your own little personal touches in there.
So I definitely agree with that. You can definitely get away with doing some smaller DIY projects and keeping your friends and family involved, but definitely leave the bigger items, I think, to your suppliers. That way it takes the stress and the pressure off you guys at the end of the day, so that you can enjoy your special day.
Yeah, well, that is what it's all about.
So thank you everyone for watching. We'd like you to like, subscribe. We'll obviously pop a blog down below as well, so you can have a read through. Big thank you to Katie from Arctic Fox Weddings. So we'll also pop her link below, so please have a look at her website. She's got a lot of fun things. So please have a look, and obviously book our lovely Katie for your big day.
Awesome. Thanks for having us. It was great chatting.
Thanks, Katie.
No worries.